Let me know when you see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's cool now.
It's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hot Seat. If you guys can go ahead and share, I tagged everybody, so you guys should be able to share it and like it on your page when you share. Super excited. We have an awesome new guest panelist on with us tonight. We're getting started. You guys can let me know when you got it tagged onto your pages.
I got it on mine.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, you good?
Yes. We'll see.
Okay. Arthur, you good?
I think so.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's on my page.
Okay. Everybody can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, Koffe Brown, alongside my co-host, Mr. Charles Dixon from Unique Perspectives of Love Talk Radio. Mr. Dixon, wave at the people in the church, please.
All right.
Then we have my awesome dear friend of well over a decade now, Miss Martha Cooper Hudson, one of my business partners and dearest friends, is in the building with us tonight. And then Martha, wave for the people, Martha. Let them see you, Martha. Got Martha in the building with us this evening. And then I have my classmate, basketball buddy from back in the day, Miss Charmaine Crutchfield is in the building. Charmaine, wave at the folks. And then I have one of my other classmates and one of my dearest friends, Arthur Mealer, grew up with me around the corner. Arthur, let him see you. Wave at him. It's you in the house. Okay. Let him have it. So anyway, you guys, welcome to this edition of the Hot Seat. Super excited to have everybody on with us. We have all new guests in the building this evening, and towards the end of the show, you guys, they'll be able to give you some information on how to connect with them right here on social media and to participate in whatever projects they're doing. So we're glad to have them on board. Tonight, since we have my great friend, Pastor Mealer, in the building, I'm going to ask him to lead us off in prayer for the evening. Mr. Pastor Mealer, can you lead us in prayer tonight?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for these panelists and this host, Lord. And we thank you for all that are viewing. I pray that something be said or done that would touch somebody in a way, God, that would better them and further them in their knowledge and in their.
Amen. All right. I think Arthur's screen froze, you guys.
Okay.
Arthur, you back with us? Your screen froze for a second.
Yeah, I did. I was back. That prayer just froze everything.
Froze everything, honey. Somebody got
Somebody got it
right now. Then froze up everything. Okay. Then change somebody's life with that prayer. You guys, this is an interesting topic that we're going to dive into tonight. It's called Your Sheets Are Starting to Stink, How the Funk of Your Former Relationships is Affecting You and Me. I'll read a little bit of the narrative and we're going to dive right on into this juicy subject tonight. Has the unattended baggage between the two of you reached the point of soil and you are now loving amongst a relational stench? You have now become the couple that no longer brings a refreshing fragrance to a room, but a funk. Parenthesis, your obvious issues. Everyone sees it, and the two of you are oblivious to it. It is this type of denial in the space of love and relationships that has a lot of so-called commitments sitting in the intake room of the salvage yard of love. Let's talk about this subject tonight. We're going to dive right in. We got these awesome new guest panelists tonight. So we're going to start off talking about what comes to your mind when you think about an individual's relationship that is stinking, as far as you on the outside, but you are seeing the demise of their relationship and they don't see the catastrophe ahead. We'll start with you, Arthur. Talk to us about what comes to your mind when you see this. Especially
go ahead.
I said especially as a leader.
Right. Well, a lot of times I see when most people come in, biggest issues mostly is trust and communication. And when you bring issues into a relationship where you can't trust your partner, you don't trust the one that you're with, it brings a lot of fights, a lot of bickering, and that also is not helped when there's no communication in a relationship. When you don't trust someone and you just sitting there and kind of secretly resenting them because you don't trust them, but you're harboring, distrustful thoughts in your mind. You think they're cheating, but you don't say anything. You're just harboring that thing. So I see a lot of that that are causing relationships to be derailed.
Mm.
Very true. And I like the term that you use, derail, because it is a train wreck. It's a train wreck. And so many people are affected by relationships that are, they start off this one way and everybody's all excited. You got the whole community involved. And then when it starts going left, a lot of times the people inside cannot see the demise of what's really happening with them. Martha, talk to us as a mentor, as a leader. I know you've actually dealt with a lot of relationships. I can recall a few. We won't name no names on tonight's, but I can recall a few over the years with us doing business as intently as we were and seeing people go through this. What comes to your mind when you see these things happening, especially as a mentor and a leader?
And let me know if I'm low, but Precious, one of the things that I find that has truly been a demise for a relationship, and I'm coming from a woman's perspective more than anything else, is the fact that most women, they did not know, and thinking about the relationships that you are talking about, they didn't understand their worth and their value because of things that happened in their past relationship.
Absolutely.
That allowed them to bring that worth, that lack of worth and value to their previous relationship, that continued to keep them in that revolving cycle of, because I didn't know my worth, I am allowing myself to be treated this way or that way, which continues to beat down my value and my worth. And so because they were in a horrible relationship from the past, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was something that happened to them in their childhood, they have moved those things with them forwardly in every relationship they had. So they haven't been able to have that amazing relationship because they are holding on to their past, which is hijacking their future.
Mm.
That's good. I like how you said holding on to the past, which is hijacking your future, because they can't exist in the now. They're still
Right.
hanging between the balance of what was and what could be without being able to embrace what's going on right now. Charmaine,
That's right.
as a person in the industry that you're in, I know you see a lot of people and a whole lot of stuff that goes on in the industry that you're in. What comes to mind when you think about someone's relationships thinking and how it's affecting other people?
Well, sometimes the relationship starts from when they were growing up. To me, like what you see when you grow up, when you're growing up, sometimes they fall into that cycle, and no one has broken that cycle, that a pattern that's a trending for their family. Like they can see their mother do something, their grandmother, and it falls into this pattern. So sometimes that the their behaviors are learned behaviors. So or observed behaviors. So if a man talks to you any kind of way, they feel like this is acceptable because they've watched this before. So a lot of times these patterns and trends, they go from relationship to relationship because this is something they've been used to and think it's normal. And so sometimes that other person in that relationship gets tired of this they get tired of dealing with it, and they can't even communicate at that point because it's nothing to the cycle has to be broken basically. And I see a lot of it with different women that has been abused. They may have had a sexual abuse growing up. They've been mentally abused. So it's a lot to it when it comes to relationship and bringing baggage in.
And you know what? Another thing too, you guys, that comes to my mind is when individuals find themselves with multiple physical partners, and how that, when you talk about somebody's sheets starting to stink, they're going from one convoluted person or individual or spirit or soul, however you want to tie the knot of that, and taking that to another scenario, to another party, to another party, to another party. And all of this stuff is internal. And so they don't even realize it. It's almost like you go to somebody's house and you walk in and you say, "Ooh, what is that smell?" But the people that live there, they're oblivious to it. They're totally numb to it because they exist in that space, in that stench. That's where they exist. And so they have no idea that they smell. When you think about that, Charles, when you think about people who are constantly habitually going from person to person to person, and then maybe they get to the right person, but they're in the wrong space, or they're in the wrong, or they got so much stuff going on with them that they really can't even see that they have come into their purpose person. What comes to your mind, Charles, when you think about that, when a person they stink so bad that they can't even accept when good shows up?
Well, in most cases, when you have people that come together and they are quote unquote, I guess in this case you're speaking of, if they're clingy to that degree, likely they're broken. So if they're
Yeah.
broken, they're looking for fragments to match up to how they are. And so in cases like that, people try to love on top of dysfunction, which is like putting on clean clothes and ain't take a shower. So in other words, it's like, I look at it like this: when you too much heat in any scenario will eventually, think about how you go places, and we always say as black folks, oh, it's too many of us in here, smell, it's hot in here, all these kind of things. And so when you got this heat like this, you're likely to have these smells become more prevalent. And so what's needed is, some of these relationships are not being refrigerated. So this is why they are spoiling, because there isn't the space for cooling. People are not taking breaks. People so insecure, and so, they're looking for validation all day, that they have this spirit of being clingy and extra, they want to be like Velcro to you. And that's really not normal. People need their adequate space in the relationship so that everybody can have their own, privacy and respect. And then, you want a person to want to deal with you, not to feel like they're forced to. So that's, you want people to come to you in free will. And so I think what's happening now is we're trying to say, look, both of us are standing in this boxing ring, but we're both ill-equipped. We messed up. I'm wounded. You broken. This, that, and the other. But I love you. And we're both in denial. We both haven't sat and had a real communicative conversation, really breaking down what's really going on with us. All we're doing is just existing in the same place. So when you have people like that, people can see you from afar and say, they look dysfunctional without even knowing you. They look like a mess, pretty much.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it's funny that you said that, because that's the tragedy of it all. Because I think a lot of times we'll see some people actually falling apart, but you can't even go in and help them because they don't know that something is wrong. They don't know that anything needs to be repaired. Martha, I see your wheels spinning back there. Talk to us. What's going on in your mind right now?
Well, and as Charles said, and as you said as well, it's that comfort zone. That comfort zone becomes their prison. Right. And because they're so comfortable in their mess, because they're so comfortable in their pain, their hurt, because they're so comfortable in that, people would rather remain in that uncomfortable, they would rather remain in that comfortable mess than to go to an uncomfortable heaven, as I would say. So they remain in that place and space without knowing it is the norm. So therefore, this is what they have always known. This is what they've always accepted. But then when someone comes in and tries to show them something differently, they can't see it because they've never seen it before. So that comfort zone becomes their prison walls, and it keeps them in that box. And in order for a person to really get out of that box, Precious, that's man and or woman, is they really have to rediscover who they are. So they have to really understand what it is that they want, what it is that they like, what it is that they need. But if they have no clue, then how can they? Until they get in an environment of normalcy and they realize, wait a minute, what I've been going through and what I've been having to deal with all my life wasn't normal.
Yeah.
This is the way that it should be done. Let me reevaluate where I am so I can see what it is that I want, like, and will deal with.
Right.
And that goes back to what Charmaine was saying about the examples. And I do think, just piggybacking off what she said earlier, a lot of this stems from our childhood, our rearings, what we saw, the law, it's called the law of first mention and the law of first truth. It's what we saw when we first dropped out of heaven into earth, in our earth space, in our families. A lot of times, a friend of mine said something to me the other day, and it kind of really, it just kind of, I was kind of really floored, because we used to be in ministry together when I was a worship leader in Florida. And he was telling me, he said, you know, my mom and dad been married like 40 something years, and I never seen a good example of a marriage. And I said, huh? I said, what? He said, I've never seen a good example of a marriage. My parents been married for 40 something years. He said, they're so old now, nobody's going to take them if they get divorced. So they got to stay together now. They're like 75 years old. And I was listening to him, and I said, how crazy is that? He was like living in the house. Somebody was throwing stuff. The other one was cussing and, you know, carrying on. And he was like, I was the baby child, so I got the brunt of the worst part of it. He was saying his older siblings, when they have dialogues about what happened with their parents, his older siblings don't remember all the stuff that he saw, because by the time he got there, it was accelerated and out of control. So he was saying they put on the mask in front of the community, and at church, they did what they did at church, made it seem like they was okay. But at home, it was just total pandemonium and chaos. And so when he was sharing that with me, I said, man, that's bewildering. But it goes back to what people experience. And he was talking about how he already had 2 failed marriages. And he was like, man, I don't even know how to be a husband. I have no clue how to even be a husband, because I've never seen a man really be a husband. He was like, I didn't realize how it had affected me throughout my life until I lost my second wife. He was like, man, I didn't even see I was messed up until my second wife literally packed her stuff and she was gone when I got home from work. Arthur, talk to us about things like this. I know you've had to deal with people with counseling and trying to help them to deal with this. Have you had people who have come into you that just really don't even know that they're in the middle of a crisis?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times it's the men in a lot of cases, because most of the time when they come to the altar with either they have no idea what's going on. In some cases, the ladies too, they have no idea absolutely what's going on, or either they have what I call dysfunctional norms. Their normal or their foundation is dysfunctional. So anything that you build on that is going to be dysfunctional. You can't build something strong or solid on something that has cracks and that's faulty. It's all going to fall at some point. Some guys, it can be communication, it could be leadership skills, organization. The majority of it, like I said, is communication, distrust, bitterness, and a lot of times, because guys, we've been raised not to whine and not to cry. So sometimes I get a lot of it where the 2 of them come in and they have 2 totally different perceptions on how the marriage is going, or how the relationship is going. And the woman in most cases has communicated effectively, what the issue is and how she's feeling in the situation. But he always thinks that she's just whining, or she's just bickering, or she's just nagging. So she's been telling him and crying to him about what needs to be, what's happening. But a lot of times we don't listen because we've never been taught to have an open ear in communication. It's more so 2 people having a conversation and just waiting to have their turn to talk and not listening to the issue. So you can't build anything when there's no communication. And if that foundation from childhood or from, relationships that they saw their friends in, or whatever, wherever they get their foundation from and their structure from, if they get something that's not right and it has no principles in it that would cause it to be strong or structural, then they always come in broken. And like I said, sometimes they have no idea it's as broken as it is. Like you said, it's like kind of like what you said when you go into someone's house and it smells a certain way, or they come out and it smells a certain way, and they have no idea they smell like that. And in most cases, one or the other doesn't even know that the situation is as bad as it is. Somebody's surprised because one, either you're not listening, or two, you're not communicating. I'm not talking. So that's where I've experienced a lot of times in counseling.
Charmaine, let's talk about this communication piece that Arthur just brought up. Talk to me about the communication part. Have you had like friends and things like that you try your girlfriend calling you talking about girl, fizz and all that and blah 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 blah, but she doesn't see the error of her ways. Talk to us about the communication part.
Well, this is just actually in the last couple of days. I have a friend that she's younger than the guy she's dating. Well, she's much younger than the guy she's dating, and she just had a child. And she's texting me about him communicating with other women. And I asked her, have they made it official? Even though they have a child, if you've not made it official or have talked about what are your expectations in this relationship, how are you gonna expect him not to do a certain thing when y'all haven't communicated what status y'all are? I understand y'all sleep with each other, you got a baby, but have y'all made this official? Sometimes you have to have this discussion, because if you don't have this discussion, we can't just assume. Because when we assume, a lot of times we'll assume something, and they may have somebody else that they're trying to make it work with as well. So you can't just assume these days. So you have to communicate, openly communicate, ask questions, find out where you're at with this person before you tell people this are people.
Yeah, Mr. Dixon, that sounds like something that you were talking about not long ago, about the communication. It's funny you said that, Charmaine, because it sounds like she wants to have a relationship, but he's far from it.
Yes.
But he has no idea what's going on in her head, but she wants him to behave this certain way, and he has no idea what's going on. Charles, what comes to your mind when you hear something like what Charmaine just said?
This is common when it comes to the kind of like when the child is involved. A lot of times, I've seen women, they feel as though even though you started off casual or whatever you got to get you to that point to have the child, a lot of times women feel like the child, even though it's the situation is not defined, they feel like the child trumps any of the other people that you're dating. And it's just like, yeah, I know that you got these women over here, but you coming home to me because I got your baby. And they kind of feel like this trumps the situation. And like you said, as Charmaine said, I mean, in this day and time, you have to be clear with people, child or not. I mean, look, they won't even respect you, and you married with the child in the house. So, I mean, you better ask somebody to be clear. If you have a baby, you need to know, where's this going and where are we? Let's talk about this. But here's the sad thing I've noticed. People nowadays, the reason more and more people are stinking is because people nowadays are drawing from a person's presence. All we want is you in the room. Forget about how sick you are, how bloody you are, broken. Just be here to nurse me and my insecurity. Sit next to me. I need you to be next to me so we can be like-minded together. Both of us miserable ain't gonna make one whole person. It just makes two terrible people. But we think that we get people in the space with us, come and be with me, spend this time with me, then we'll be okay. Instead of saying, let's get help and see what's wrong with us. But we, instead of drawing from peace, we're drawing from the people. I just need your presence here and I'll be fine. And that's why we're kind of like Arthur mentioned, we're not talking about the main things that's really going on here. Like you said, though, the relationship is derailed. Even though you are together, the relationship is still off the track, still unhealthy.
That's interesting. You said about the peace component, and we just want people, but we don't want the peace.
Peace.
That is, oh man, that's crazy, because that's the main reason why we can't see the forest from the trees, so to speak, because we're so inundated with saying, well, I just gotta have person A. Person A got the look that I want. Person A got the statue I want. They work at the place I want them to work at. They bring in the kind of money I gotta, this looks good in front of my peers looking at this. This joker, he's in the pipeline ministries. I mean, I feel sometimes we get down with the relationship part. So I'm good to go because he putting it down in the bedroom. So I'm good. He ain't got to have no sense whatsoever otherwise. And he gets up every morning. He going to work. He bringing home, a little bit of the bacon, not all of it, because he's sharing it with Becky and Sally and then Bonnie over there. All those other kind of people he got inside the equation. And like Charmaine said, she's trying to control a narrative that doesn't exist at all. It don't even exist. It's like you trying to control a narrative that does not exist. Martha, I see your wheels spinning over there in your brain. Girl, talk to us, Martha.
Well, first of all, here's the first thing, and this is one thing that, being 20 years into my marriage and 26 years together, the very first thing that my husband said to me, and I heard him very crystal clear, is I am not a mind reader. So what I need you to do is I need you to be very open, and I need you to share with me your do's, your don'ts, and your wants so that I can hear you loud and clear. Most women think that men are mind readers and that they can read your mind and know exactly what you want, how you want it, when you want it, whatever that may be. But they are absolutely not. And because we are not crystal clear on what it is that we want, because we are not crystal clear who we are, and because we are still confused in the midst of the confusion and the dysfunction that comes from our past, we don't know what to say and or tell our significant others as it pertains to what it is that we want. And then as I'm not exactly sure which one, I think maybe it was Charles, as you were talking about, women just want a physical presence.
Right.
Or someone just want a physical presence, whether it's man or woman.
Right.
That is so very true, because I have literally spoken to my girlfriends and said, especially when they're dealing with someone that I know, and I simply said, girl, please don't waste time, energy, and effort, because I know it's my personal, it's my brother, it's my cousin, whatever it is. And they said to me, girl, he's so fine. Yeah. Girl, he looks so good. Girl, he is so established. He is so well put together. Girl, he cannot be that bad. And then they go down that road, Charles.
Yeah, and learn.
Then their value is devalued one more time because they win that mindset of a piece of man is better than having no man at all. And I tell women all the time, if you are clear and crystal clear on what it is that you want, and you're able to communicate those things to your significant other, you can get what you want, or either you have the opportunity and the choice to walk away. And so that was me and Michael. I said, here are the non-negotiables in our relationship. They have been the non-negotiables for 26 years. Wow. And if at this point in time, if you cannot, then go ahead. Let's do what we need to do. We are very wide open.
Your phone is muted.
Martha, you can't be giving us a dissertation and then go on mute now. You can't be doing that now, Martha. You had us all.
Girl, no, because somebody called. So a call was coming through. I should have went from my computer. But so many times people are not crystal clear. We're beating around the bush because, one, women are afraid that if they tell the man what they want, if they tell them what they expect, I tell women, why are you wasting 6 years? Huh? Did I go out on you?
No,
we hear you.
Okay, keep talking.
Okay. So why are you wasting 6 years in a relationship when you knew 6 months or 8 months in you wanted to be married? Why didn't you tell him that from the jump and say, listen, We are dating because I'm expecting or looking for, so that man can know whether or not he want to deal with that, whether or not that's the direction that he wants to go. But we'll go and we'll beat around the bush, and we will not speak the truth. And we expect them to read their minds. And now we're miserable, we're saddened, we're resentful in relationships that's not feeding us, but we're just tolerating it at that time.
No, that was something that I remember Charles did, that starvation ministry show. Lord have mercy. Lord, he had a show about starvation ministries, Martha. I think people came to the altar and everything. It was a hot mess. I said, oh my God. I mean, like, the show was so crazy, because you remember that, Charles, when you put that post up, I was like, dude, you have got to do this as a show. Because that is so true. People are starving for affection, starving for intimacy, connection, commitment, and they're longing for something that just cannot come from the cistern they're trying to get it from. It's just not there. They don't have the equipment, the wherewithal, the stamina. They have no way of giving you something that they just simply do not have. Charmaine, I know this, when Martha was saying something, you had something you were thinking about. Talk to us, Charmaine.
I forgot now, girl. You know I'm getting old.
I saw you.
No, she was. I'm trying to think what part it was when I forgot. Child, don't get me started. I'm sorry, I forgot. And I want to interrupt her while she was talking.
I know, right? When you think about
that,
Charles, when you talk about the starvation, the part of the relationship where a person is literally starving to death, and what Arthur was saying earlier, how one person comes in and they smell the stench, and the other person like, I don't smell nothing. What are you talking about? I can't smell it. Charles, what comes to your mind when you hear about the disharmony and somebody starving where somebody else is getting fat?
You mean in the couple, in the relationship?
Yeah.
So I was saying this. So I'll tell you, I was talking about this yesterday, and I made the example. I was like, when you think about people walking in harmony, and I think we were relating this topic to how sometimes how people, will cheat or whatever. And so the point we were making was, if you think about something as simple as your eating habits, let's just say Arthur and person B, they're together. And Arthur may say, hey, I want to go down to Bubba's and get these ribs I heard about. Well, if the woman is say, come on, Arthur, let's go. I love them ribs. That makes Arthur's life that much easier. It's that much peaceful for him. He's like, great. We like to eat together. We can go look at our show. We great. But if if Arthur's really hungry and he loves these ribs, as soon as he say he want to go, then the woman tells him, you eat ribs? No, I don't eat no ribs. I'm going to tell you right now, she got all these different things, and special diets. Now it's becoming difficult. And so what I liken that to people at home intimately. When people are within the same vein intimately, they tend to strive better together. When you have a person that withhold their turn up from you, turn up being that other life that you're not privy to, that they like sexually. Now you run the risk of the people saying, so we're on this diet together, right, Arthur? Yeah. But then when the person is not being honest, if somebody's not getting fed what they want, somebody's going to tip downstairs in that refrigerator and cheat. And they're going to look for that. They're going to look to get that. Yeah, before you know it, you got an obese person with you when they should have been the same weight class as you. But the person is obese now because they've been chewing on the food while you've been working out doing stuff the right way. And so
right. So when y'all weigh in, they gaining weight and you over here losing weight. You're like, wait a minute.
Because people are honest. This is one of the most things that we need to be transparent about. The most is people have to tell you, look, when it comes down to intimacy, be honest with whatever it is you like. What you don't like, don't go into a marriage and have a whole closet full of desires that you have never showed the person. But you have saying, I'm sure in some time in life, you've heard somebody say, oh, for my husband, I got a whole lot of tricks for him. Well, you need to tell the person beforehand. You ain't got to do it, but you need to tell them beforehand what them tricks are. Because sometimes you'll get married and people will come out the closet with something and you'll be like, huh? Yeah, I'm into that. That's what really makes me happy. And you're like, I ain't signed up for that. But you'd be surprised what people have in their closet. You just don't even say.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree.
That is true. That's very true. And I think, you know what, Charles, you done opened up Pandora's box, honey. Now I got to sit it. So let me say, let me go ahead and say, this is the God heaven truth. This is gonna be just a transparent moment. I don't need nobody to judge.
Lord. Get ready.
So I actually, this is so interesting. Lord have mercy. So a few years, Lord have mercy. A few years ago, I was engaged to this guy, and so we had had a conversation about how we were going to navigate through, abstaining from premarital sex. We had a candid conversation about it. We were like, well, we want to do something different. We really want to work on this, even though we had dated previously and we had been intimate before, so we already knew what was up, what we were getting into. So we said, well, this time around, we're not gonna go there. We just gonna focus on, the big picture and get to the relationship, building it the way we want to build it according to our belief system, right?
Okay.
So
Right.
we started having a conversation about the sex part because we dated years ago when we were younger. So, people change over the course of time. They have more experiences. They done been, wherever they've been, and you run back into them and you go, oh, okay. So I remember one day he sent me a picture. I was sitting in my office, Charles. Lord Jesus, Lord. I was sitting in my office. I literally fell back out of my chair. Like literally fell back out of my chair. So my colleague was like, I was in my office and they was like, oh my God, what's going on? So they came in my office and I was like up right on the floor, right? Let me tell you what the picture was, y'all. The picture was of all this S&M toy stuff that he liked to do. I mean, like, it was like a whole different dude from the dude that I knew before, right? Now, mind you, we had been dating for a year. So we had started having more graphic, in-depth, detailed conversations. But man, that joker sent me that picture. The next day I said, I can't do it. I said, you know what? I can't marry you. I can't do this kind of ministry, honey. I said, I done did some ministry things in my life, honey, but these ain't it. I can't do it. I said,
sounds like he been tampered with.
Girl, Charmaine, I mean, when I tell you, I literally, when I tell you, I was scared, man. That junk scared me.
Right.
And I'm not.
Man, been tampered with. Lord have mercy.
He done been tampered with. He was gonna try to tamper with you too.
He was trying to take me to 79, 82, 97 shades of gray, orange, and pink, honey. I said,
he been tampered with, and he probably was a little by. Probably.
Oh,
I
wow.
was try on the top, around the corner. I don't care what. Girl,
Lord have mercy.
Look,
he was being transparent.
They done already fixed the man
when
now.
I seen that picture,
Right, he done fixed it now.
when I tell you the next day, I promise y'all, the next day when I woke up, I said, hey, meet me at such and such and thus and so. We got to talk today. And I sat there, I said, let me tell you something. I said, I love you, and I honestly did want to spend the balance of my human days with you. I said, when you send me that picture, I said, I can't tap into that anointment, honey.
Wow.
I said, you got a ministry that I can't get involved in. This is just something. I said, this is too much for me. I said, but I will tell you this. I really do appreciate you telling me, like what Charles said, pre-marriage, that this is what you were really into, because I'm telling you, you was right, Charles. People have these turn-ups, all this stuff going on, and all these weird desires and all this other stuff. And Charmaine, you all this that they do that, that you just be like, what? You did, huh? You do, huh? And people get caught up in that. And they don't know what to do with it, because like what Martha was saying earlier, they just got this person. They got to have this person and not realizing what comes along with that person. It is not that serious. It's 5 billion people in the world. It's another that person somewhere. I promise you. It's
Yeah.
another one somewhere, honey. So you can just
And,
trade him in, honey.
Find your person. Yeah, find your
Send
person.
him back to the
and,
universe, honey, and get another one, honey. Send him, return the sender, honey. Send him back.
and sometimes I remember back in the day, of course, you
Oh, you know what? Oh, you make sure you add it back in the day, Arthur.
There you go, Arthur. Back
right.
in the day.
I
Back
gotta
in the
put
day.
I gotta throw my disclaimer in there.
Right,
Right.
right,
But
right there.
When
with
you
that
was doing
caveat,
worldly things, Arthur.
huh?
When you was doing worldly things back in the day.
Absolutely.
Show me.
Pray for me now. Pray for me now.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm not that pastor now. Pray for
Right.
me now. I need a little Jesus, but
Oh, God.
when but back in the day, I remember like sometimes you can be actually really really blunt and straightforward with some people,
Yeah.
and they somehow believe that they're going to change your mind, or somehow you don't mean what you
What you
said
say?
when you
Yeah.
enter into a situation like that. So I've had situations where I said, okay, this is what it is, and if if we're gonna interact, then that's all it is gonna be. But then there's situations where it's going on, and you know I've counseled guys on this, and I've told them, even though you're telling her that, but if you're still doing all of the things that somebody in a relationship does, you're still leading that woman on. So in a
Absolutely.
lot of cases, people lead people on. They put it under, they hide it under. I told them the truth, and I told them what it was from the beginning.
Right. Right.
But if you tell them one thing, actions speak louder than words, and,
Right.
and
Well,
in the biggest sense of the word. So even in communicate, you have to be careful with what your nonverbal communication is saying as much as what you're actually saying. Because you can't go in and
You
be,
better say it, honey.
that
You better
guy
say it.
and then expect
yeah.
her not to have any
You better
kind of
say it.
feelings or emotions.
That's
Yeah.
right, because that nonverbal communication is the killer. I was telling
How?
Charles earlier when we was having our pre-show banter that y'all ain't privy to when he be trying to tell me what to do on tonight. But anyway,
Well.
I was telling him I was telling him about this particular person that is married, and I was telling him, I said, yeah, the person paints a pretty rose picture. I said, but there's words that the person is saying between the words that you just don't know that's what they really saying. So he was like, what? I said, oh, honey, I've been in the marriage ministries, honey. Believe me when I tell you, it's something underlying outside of the words that that person is saying. That nonverbal communication has so much power that people do not pay attention to that. It's the words that's not said between the words that we need to be listening to, for sure.
Let's see
Charles,
another. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead. All right, go ahead, Charles, go ahead.
No, another thing I was going to say is when you guys were talking about how people, when Arthur was saying you can be blunt with people and people still will kind of still take you on. And what it is people nowadays, well, not just nowadays, but people count on their ability to finesse you to do the changing for them. Some people think they can have, Arthur gonna be with me anyway. I know he said he's not into that, but when he loved me, when I show him me and I work on him daily, he's going to eventually come around to being open to this. And people need to understand, look, if Arthur says no up front, I don't want it. It don't mean he wants you to beat him down over the years to get him to eventually get back to what you do want. Just find a person that's into that already and let it be,
And that's true. That's why I said that. It's 5 billion people in the world. Send that one back, return the sender, and go and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Go and keep it moving. Martha, talk to us. I can't hear you. I see you got your little mute ministry on. Martha, talk to us. I see your little wheels spinning over there, girl. Talk to us, Martha.
Well, no, and I concur with everything that you all are saying, and I put myself on mute so that just in case one of those blessed children ministries, the 2 that I have, just in case they run down the stairs or making some noise, they're not interfering. So I get that. But no, you guys are absolutely right. I mean, you got to be crystal clear of what you want inside of that. Inside, you had me dying over here, Precious, when you got the picture on your cell phone. And I know you saying, what the ham sandwich?
Girl, I said, look, I had to
but
call the Goon Squad in, girl. I called the Goon Squad and I said, we got to have an All Saints meeting right now, y'all. I need y'all to come here and look at this ministry stuff. This joker is sitting me, honey. I said, the dissolution is about to go down, baby. We ain't even got the paperwork. No ink.
He was trying to be a blessing.
Yes.
Woo, Lord, he was trying to bless me in
him.
ministry that I did not want. Okay, on tonight.
But you know, I can really respect the fact that you said, hold on, wait a minute. We need to talk today.
Yeah.
And because you realize
tomorrow wasn't promised.
Tomorrow wasn't promised. We need to talk today. Because brother, you need to really understand that isn't in my foreseeable future. And that is not something that I'm going to deal with, or that's not me. No, you're gonna have to look to the left and find her, because she's out there. But you know, I mean, just being open and saying, hey, this is it. My husband was like, girl, you're really open and honest with what it is that you want in here. If we're gonna make this thing permanent, let's go ahead and be honest and open and share. There's no ifs, ands, there's no buts about it. It is what it is. And then when the flavor change, I'm gonna need you to let me know, because
please.
if I didn't help you change the flavor, then I got a problem.
You show right. And you know what? And another thing too, I remember when we had that dialogue, I told him straight up, I said, I don't want you to change for me. I don't like adjustment ministries. You need to be who you are. I don't do well with people who talking about, you know what, I'm gonna just change that, because you know, in the back of my head I'll be like, if you ever hear me say, I don't buy what you're selling, baby. If you hear me say, I don't buy what you're selling, because what you're selling ain't for sale. I don't want to buy it, honey, because I don't want no discounts. None. Be who you are. It's better to, you know, like Martha said, put your cards on the table, say what it is that you want. If the person doesn't want to do it, they don't have to do it. And it's not about me trying to get you to be somebody that you don't want to be, to accommodate me and be my puppet on the string. I don't want nobody doing no dog and pony show for me. I don't roll like that. I don't like it. Because eventually, I say this all the time, people go back to their original default settings, the factory settings. They're going right back to that original factory settings. I remember when I switched my phone one time, I was telling my daughter, I said, man, I hate to push this factory reset button because I'm about to lose everything. And I know something going to pop up later that I forgot to take off the phone. And I was telling my daughter, she was sitting there laughing at me. And I said, man, this is how people are. They the same exact way. They go back to their default settings. They go right back to who they are, regardless of how you try to get it. So, Charmaine, let me ask you. The person that you were talking to and you were communicating with about the relationship, what was the outcome of that? Did she make some adjustments with that? Did she say something to him about it? What was the outcome with that?
Let me read the last, because we were communicating through text. So let me see if she even responded to the last one that I told her. Because I kind of, this is one of my mentees from when she was in high school. She's grown. She's good and grown now, but she was one of my mentees when she was in high school, and she still reach out periodically for advice. She say, let me see, hold on. She said that she had been arguing with him back and forth, and I asked her still, did you get a resolution? Did you talk to him about what you wanted? She said, well, I got this baby. She kept coming back with the baby. The baby does not mean anything. Did you communicate with him? And she texted me and said she had been crying all morning. And I asked her still, have you talked to him? Have y'all communicated? She still hadn't communicated, basically, from what she's saying. Like,
and so that's so sad, because she's still harping on that child being the deciding factor of him staying glued into the relationship. You know, you might want to text her and say, mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
Daddy's maybe. There you
go.
go.
Let me tell you something. My uncle told me that
postpartum.
My uncle told me that. I remember when I was probably about 17 years old, and my uncle was talking to me about sex. Oh my God. And my uncle was real graphic. He's probably about 83. I call him Stanky. Lord Jesus. The man is cold, man. He cold, baby. Lord, my Uncle James. That joker is I mean, when I say cold, he ice cold when he come with the truth. He said, let me tell you something. He said, have you ever paid attention to the evidence attached to a pregnant woman? And I said, what do you mean? He said, there's no evidence that a guy created a child, but there's show evidence that you had one.
Wow, that's good.
Correct. And
I was
that's
like,
how it is.
I said, huh? He said, mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
Yeah.
There is no evidence that that's that man's child. I don't care how you want to slice the pie. He ain't going to pop up pregnant. His belly ain't going to swell up. He ain't going to look no different after he knocked you down and he knocked Susie down and Shannon and everybody else. He going to look exact same way. And you going to be the one with the evidence. And when he told me that, I was like 17 years old, and I've never forgotten that. I have taught my children that, baby, that evidence gonna roll with you. Is not gonna roll with him. Not gonna roll. So a lot of it, and that's baggage, that's stench, that's stuff, that's things that we don't need to be getting into without being in a long-term committed partnership and relationship with somebody who is like-minded, wants the same outcome, going down the same path. We got the same agreement. We want the exact same things. That's where all that dysfunction and chaos and all that stuff comes in, because people are making these decisions without the definition of purpose being in place with the person that they're partnered with. It's no purpose behind it. The person don't, like what you said, Martha, when you were talking about with you and Mike. Lord bless Mike. Lord have mercy. Bless Michael Hudson.
That's my boo.
That's my brother-in-law, man. But like what you said, and you've been telling us this for years. I remember when you used to talk with Antoinette and I about that a long time ago. You were like, find somebody who has a definite purpose for wanting to be connected to you specifically, not you, Janie, Jackie, and that goes vice versa. That's for the guys as well. Find that female that wants whatever, all your stuff that comes with that. She just wants you. But she don't want you for stuff, things, and all that. She wants the man behind all of the stuff and things and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Dixon, you look like your wheels are spinning over there. Talk to us, Mr. Dixon.
Well, you was great. What I was going to say, you just kind of put a piece of it together. I was going to say the reason a lot of this is happening is today, we're not becoming wound. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not becoming intertwined in purpose. We're becoming intertwined in meat. That's the problem. We're not coming into the purpose. The purpose is the real reason you need to come together with somebody and live out your days normally, happily, whatever. You're gonna have your issues, but as long as purpose is at the front and center, you have a goal to constantly strive towards together. But if you just have the meat, you can be replaced because the meat go bad. Yeah.
Lord, the replacement ministries. My Lord. So we're going to go to the comments real quick before we shut down, you guys. What you say, Arthur?
Arthur said nothing. I'm just...
He said, yeah, he ain't saying nothing.
You talking in third person now, Arthur?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, I am. I guess you could say that.
So Melissa Freeman says, we have to learn to pray about all things, not some things. In relationships, we need to know that we're really, truly ready for the things that relationships are made up of. Don't have a relationship based on sex. That gets old quick. Make sure you have a clear understanding before sex occurs. Learn to ask questions that would nip a lot of things in the bud. That's on point. Katonia says, absolutely. We should never assume compatibility or longevity based on a person's looks. He or she can be fine as wine, but crazy as a quote unquote outpatient. Take time to get to know the person, be their friend first, and let whatever's supposed to be just be. Then we have Elisa saying, before me and my future get married, I'd rather us attend marriage counseling. And then Deborah Bowie Brown says, yes, it's another person out there. It's 5 billion people in the world. Don't settle for the turn up. You know, everybody got a turn up, Deborah. It's just how much of a turn up, okay?
Now that's a good point that she made about the counseling. The counseling part is a good point because that's a gauge as to who you're dealing with. Think about this. If you get with a person and you be like, we should go to counseling. Well, I don't need to go to no counseling. He ain't going to tell me nothing. You better run off because this person ain't going to pass the oil.
Change. They stuck in their ways.
Run.
Absolutely.
Run.
Yeah, that's what Katonia said, honey. That's the quote unquote outpatient. That's the outpatient, honey. You don't want that.
Yeah, they stuck in their way. They know you can do to change their mind.
Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah,
Exactly,
you better believe
exactly.
that.
And if they come at you like that and don't want wise counsel on the decision of something so important as a marriage, you don't need to be with them anyway.
Well,
Because
well, but see,
when
what it
something
really
comes
is
on,
people don't want you to subject them in front of someone that will tell you the truth about them. That's what it
Right.
is. They don't want to be
That's right.
exposed. You know, Arthur, the pastor, Arthur, I'm bringing the lady in there. Here she go, Arthur. He gonna look over there, be Charles. She's not the one. People don't want to hear that. They want to make. They want to
right,
forego all of that and say we have
right.
made up our mind, and this is who we're gonna be with, me and this person. That's it.
And let me
Exactly.
tell you something. Let me tell you, a great counselor, let me tell you what they'll have you do in marriage counseling. They will have you take this test and give your mate the results. You don't even see it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
once your mate reviews the results, then they pass it to you. And I remember taking that test, man. I said, you talking about nerves being bad? Lord have mercy. God bless.
That's how I do.
Lord
That's
have
how I
mercy.
do.
Yeah, you talking about nerves being bad? I mean, when me and Mr. Brown had counseling, God rest his soul, I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, you're going to take this test in a separate room. And then when the test results came back, they going to Mr. Brown, and yours is going, and told him yours is going to future Miss Brown. So she going to get your information, you going to get hers, and the next counseling session, y'all going to swap. So you can see what they know about you that you may have not ever even made them privy to.
Wow.
Wow.
That's lost some fights back there in the church.
Hey, you know what? I said, look.
But I mean, if they're gonna
But
get
it's
into a
powerful.
commitment
It's
like
powerful. It's
Yeah, you
powerful
need
because
it.
you need to
they
know.
gotta be
Yeah, you
transparent.
need it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
need
you
it.
gotta be because it's so much stuff. You know, like what Charmaine and even Martha was saying earlier. It's a lot of stuff that has happened in our childhoods, in our
Yeah.
rearing,
All
in
right.
our previous relationships, and in the dysfunction of life in general. And when we don't know what type of adversity we're going to face as humans. Just being a human being, we don't know what our life is going to play out and to be like. So therefore, you know, when something comes up, it don't need to come up after the marriage. It's like
Right.
a friend of mine, I found out recently, one of my friends, this boy was shot like 5 or 6 times trying to get away from somebody who was trying to attack got the wrong person. It was just a big old mess. And so he was talking about the PTSD symptoms that he has, you know, when he goes to sleep and stuff. He was saying sometimes he wake up screaming or fighting or other different stuff, and of course he's medicated for it. So I said, you can't not tell somebody that and you finna marry them.
Right.
That's
You better tell me because you wake up out my
That's right.
You know, you wake up out your sleep. You wake up out your
yelling
sleep.
and hollering.
Girl, I'll be like, you told Hoppo to beat me. I'll be like, what?
Man, you might be get shot though.
You know, Smith.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you. And he wake up like that.
Honey.
He wake up like that with the sister from the
Right,
from
you
the
might
city
get
that
shot.
takes no pity.
Look, Gangsta
He
Lean
might
don't
get
see
shot.
Right.
Yeah. Or, you know, or somebody who has REM disease. I have a friend who has what's called REM disease. When they get to that, you know what REM is, that the deepest sleep you can get in,
Deep sleep.
closest to death, right? This girl, when she goes to sleep and she falls into REM sleep, she literally attacks in her sleep. Been doing it for years. And it came from trauma when she was a child that trickled over into her adulthood, and it's been following her ever since. The girl had to take medicine and everything. But imagine if somebody don't make you privy to this stuff. This stuff is real.
Right.
This stuff is real. And this is where the stench comes in a lot of relationships. People do not have a clue what they're getting themselves into. And all these outside people, they see, you know, that the force is just not with them. You know, it's, may the force be with you, the force ain't with them. You know, and they trying to make something work that it just cannot work. You got to find somebody that is able to handle whatever your chaos is. Every human has chaos. Nobody is exempt from it. Whatever your chaos is, there's no perfect person, no perfect scenario. There's no such thing, because as long as you're a human being, you have some type of flaw or defect somehow, some way, even if you got dentures at 3,200. I mean, hey, it is.
Wow.
It is what it is.
That's right.
It is what it is. You know, Mr. Dixon, we are at the top of the hour. Lord, it's been incredible. I tell you, this went by way, way, way too fast. Mr. Dixon, can
Yeah.
you bring the train back into the station for us, Mr. Dixon?
Well, Lord.
My Lord.
So everybody, so this is the point where in the show where we kind of give our last, I guess, our outros of advice on the topic. You know, you can just give a little something as your, outro is something to give to the people to carry on throughout the week. So we'll start with the lady with the artwork behind her. You know, she's has her glasses on. She's looking astute on tonight. So we will let her start it off and go on. Then we're gonna go on around the room.
You know what, Martha? He just saying that because he got that art ministry in his church. But go ahead, Martha.
Lord.
You know, I see it, and I like that art music. I like that art behind him. Listen, and the astuteness. You know, you are right with me, brother.
Right.
Make me look and sound smarter than I am. But what I do want to leave them with is this: remember that no one is a mind reader. So unless you are crystal clear in sharing what it is that you want, you can't assume, because you know what happens when you assume that people understand who you are, where you are, and where you want to go. The other piece of this is this, ladies and gentlemen, when you settle for something that's not aligned with what it is that you want and who it is that you want, you will suffer for the remainder of the time that you are in that relationship. So don't settle. Stop settling, because when you settle, you will suffer. So make sure you're crystal clear. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't fit into that space and place and what it is that you want, be okay to walk away from it, because there's something or someone out there for you.
Wow.
Girl, I just put that in the book of quotes, girl. Yeah. Lord, girl, that's tight and right. You're tight but right. Go ahead now. Tight but right.
Charmaine. Come on, Charmaine.
Well, I think people should accept whatever they have, whatever flaws they have, and stop putting blame on others. So if you keep going from relationship to relationship, sometimes it's not the other person. Sometimes we have to look at ourselves, and until we fix ourselves, we're never going to be right with anyone else. So if you're having issues, relationship issues, keep going from person to person, look at yourself in the mirror and start working on yourself first, because you can't fix anyone else, but you can fix yourself.
All right. All right, Pastor.
The doors of the church are now open.
Come on, Pastor.
Pastor collection plate. No, but just piggybacking off, what she said. Until we get in touch with ourselves and get a hold of ourselves, every relationship is going to be the same. Every one of them, because you'll continue to find the same person that's attracted to that energy that you're putting out there. I posted something a couple of weeks ago about how it's so much. Every time I go on Facebook, it's either men bashing women and women bashing men, based on the small percentage of people that they've dealt with. They're you're judging an entire species of a being because of the 12 guys you had or the 8 guys you had, and you think that everybody is the same person. But if every man that you met is the same and you're getting the same result, then we have to check ourselves and make sure that what we're putting out there is not attracting something that's toxic in our lives. So I'm always a person that's about self-checking and and trying to get myself in line, and that's what we got to do. We got to find ourselves before we can find anybody else, because we'll never know what we like or what we need, or if we constantly are choosing based on looks and this sort of thing. We got to get in touch with ourselves and know who we are first.
Good stuff. Hey, Koffe.
You know something, Charles? I tell you what.
Oh my goodness.
I just said something. He said self-check. I thought about the mammogram ministries, honey. The life you save might be on. Self-examination, honey. Check yourself first. Man, that's good stuff, because it's the truth. If you got to check yourself, because truly the life you save just might be your own, for real. That's right. And when, Charmaine said, do that mirror check. One thing I know about being a woman, it ain't no way I'm exiting the brown mansion without looking in the mirror, honey. Ain't no way. I ain't never going out the house without looking in the mirror. I'm talking about even if it's to the grocery store, I don't know who I'm going to run into. So I have to do a self-check before I walk up out the door. I don't know about y'all fellas, but yeah, Charles, you probably do self-checks. You probably check.
I'm sure I do.
You probably check, make sure your beard right and everything. But no, that's really good stuff. You know, everything that everybody shared tonight was very powerful, very impactful, and very true about the stench that we find ourselves in relationships from birth to the grave. We got to be really, really careful and align ourselves with individuals that have the future and a great light of who we are in mind, that they see us for the light that we have, even if we got a dim light, a low light, a twilight, whatever little light that we may have. They connect to that and help us to be better at who we are and what we are. So we got to identify and find ourselves connected to the people that make us shine a little bit brighter. Mr. Dixon,
Yeah, I would say.
Give us your final thoughts, Mr. Dixon.
I would say, look, I'm gonna throw a loft up in the air for Arthur. He'll catch this. In all thy getting, get
and understand.
Absolutely, that's the first thing. First things first is get. You have to know what it is that you're looking for and understand how both sides work before you can be realistically, really out here really looking for anything. And one thing I've learned, and I've kind of toiled over this for time between the men and women thing. Because you were saying something earlier about I think it was maybe it was the astute artist was saying earlier about how women he was saying something about the woman in her time putting in 2 years, if she knows she wanted this amount of time, this kind of thing like that. Was it you?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Mark,
yeah.
right? So this is how it works for women. Women like to be rewarded for their loyalty. And us men, we don't get that. Women feel like if I've done this, I've put in this time as it pertains to marriage, I need to be rewarded. This is what women don't understand. Men choose from a place of need as it pertains to their purpose. We don't choose to loyalty. We choose from the person that meets our purpose. And I think if the both of us understand that, if the woman, if we both align, let's get purpose minded and aligned that way. I think that'll give people a good measuring stick to see whether or not you are matched. If our purposes don't align, let's not waste time. You know what I'm saying? And let's go.
Watch out now. Man, we need to do a book of quotes from tonight's segment. Y'all on fire. Man, the hot seat book of quotes. Y'all on fire tonight.
That's on tonight.
Yeah. I love it. So what we do before we shut down, we do a 30-second commercial for all of our guests being on the show tonight. First of all, thank you all for your time. We realize that it's the most valuable commodity that we have. You cannot get it back. So we want to thank you guys individually for your time. But what we do as a networking tool on each and every show when we have guests, we ask that you guys share with us what you're doing and how people can connect to you. So we want to do the 30-second commercial for our guests tonight, and we're going to close out from there. Martha, talk to us. Tell the folks who you are and how they can connect with you.
All right. I am Martha Cooper Hudson, your extractive purpose, your comeback coach. I teach highly driven women on a mission how to rediscover her as she stand up, suit up, and boss up in your purpose. So if you want to connect with me, then you connect with me on all of my platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all under Martha Cooper Hudson, or you can reach out to me. You can go over right now, ladies, every lady that's watching this, you can go over right now to MarthaCooperHudson.com, get my brand new free workbook entitled Redesign Your Life. Go over there and start redesigning so you can stand up, suit up, and boss up in what it is that you
Bam, there it is.
I know that's right.
Boom. Whoop, there it is. I thought you knew. Arthur, go ahead, talk to us. Talk to us, Arthur.
That sounded like a commercial. Mine is going to sound nothing like that. That was great, Mom. Really.
That's an elevator speech, Arthur.
I wanted to boss up. But at any rate, I'm just Arthur. I pastor a church here, and I mentor young men, and I counsel marriages. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm into the whole family and everything. You can look me up on Facebook. My name is I'm tagged in this video. Also on Twitter, it's Mr. Miller, Mr. Miller, and same thing on Instagram. All my information is there, where you can find me, where I'm located, so you can reach out to me there.
Awesome. That's
Right.
awesome.
That was all right, Arthur. We're
That
gonna
was
reach out,
good.
Mr. Miller. You did good, Arthur.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well,
You did good. You did good. We gonna work on that elevator speech. We're
My
gonna work
brother
on that
appreciate
elevator
that.
speech after the show, Arthur. We gotta get you better for the elevator. We're gonna work on it after the show. Go ahead,
The what
Charmaine.
now?
I'm a mentor, tutor, teacher. A mentor, tutor, teacher. I also do have a bartending service where I do big events, weddings, and I also have a printing and design company. So I'm on Facebook as Charmaine Crutchfield. I'm on Instagram as CC the Bartender. Any bartender needs, events, parties, weddings, or any T-shirt designs or any of that, I'm available.
All right.
Awesome. All
I
right.
gotta
And
hit
Mr.
you up,
Dixon,
Charmaine. I just thought of somebody needs some T-shirts.
I know
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
show right. And Mr. Dixon and I, we're called the Great Communicators. This has been the hot seat tonight. We appreciate you guys showing up and doing what you do best, and that is communicating and connecting. This is Koffe's Corner. We appreciate you guys. And next week on the hot seat, we have an amazing show coming up for you, but I can't tell you what it is right now. I'm working on
Oh no.
it.
You know it's gonna be amazing though.
Okay, so I really do appreciate you guys being here on tonight with us. You guys can catch Mr. Dixon on Monday nights with Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, the new conversation room, on Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and I follow up on Tuesday night with the same type of dynamic on a different scale each Tuesday night right here on the hot seat, and we'll see you guys next week. And we ask you guys to take care, be well, and we will see y'all next week. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Good night.
All right. Good night, everybody. Take care. All right.
Bye.
Nice to
Good
meet you,
night.
Arthur. All right, y'all.
All right, how we hang this up?